So this prayer, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan et kol darkav, who asher natan, who has given et kol, all darkav, his ways. Derech is way, darkav is his ways. La'amo Yisrael, to his people Israel, as pictures of all heavenly things. You know, usually when I'm teaching from the Torah portion, and what I'm doing in my mind is I'm picking out the words, the nouns, and I look at them as actors on a stage. And I have to identify the characters so I can know what the plot is, and I can know why they're saying what they're saying. That's what we're going to do today. But today I'm actually going to show you how I do it. I'm going to let you into my brain. I'm going to show you how I look at pictures. Now this is in my pictures book. There's a chapter called How to See Pictures, and it tells how to do this. And what you do is you identify the nouns, and then you go look at where else they are in the Bible. And if you can figure out what that noun is, you can see the whole thing open up as pictures, ketavnio lekol hadevarim shebashamayim, as pictures of all heavenly things. And really, it's the only way to do it. There is no other way to find all the pictures of heavenly things in Scripture. It's the only way to do it. Hold on a moment. So, hopefully, I mean, I've mentioned it. I've done it, but today I'm going to actually show you how it works, so you can do it on your own. Yes.
Lekol ha-devarim sheba shamayim. So it's all heavenly. It can also be words.
Yeah, it could
things,
be.
But it's all heavenly words.
Yeah.
So all
well, I wrote the prayer. I wrote the prayer.
Right.
I wanted it to be things.
So it would be all heavenly words. In other words, look, guys, the words are coming true, and these are the picture that they're painting.
Yes. Well, there's a reason that the word devar means word and things.
Right.
It's the same word.
Yeah.
Why? Because in Judaism,
words are things.
Let me say it this way. What you're used to in our culture is thoughts. In Judaism, it's bananas. I say banana, and you immediately can smell it. You can see it. You can taste it. Everybody knows what the taste of a banana is, right? That's how the Hebrew language works. They are pictures because they're very visceral, real things. It's not like that in our culture, like we say, love. What does that look like? Different things to different people, right? Everybody has a different idea. But in Hebrew, it's not like that. In Hebrew, it's very visceral and down to earth. They're nouns. They're very physical nouns, like pomegranates and bananas and shoes and rocks, things like that. So that's why the word devar means thing and word at the same time.
I think it probably goes back to that's how Yehovah created everything with a
Exactly.
word.
Yes, he created
It became a thing.
Exactly.
So it makes sense.
That's where my
one of the prayers.
It's the words.
Oh no, you're thinking the same. So one of the prayers that we say, I showed you a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about food. One of the prayers is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nehiyeh bidvaro, who created all things by His word, not by thoughts, by His word. So things, words are things. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about the leper today. And last year, when we came to this passage, we were sitting in a circle, and all of a sudden this enormous revelation came to me, and I never talked about it again, because the Torah portion was about something else. But now we've circled back around to this Torah portion, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to flesh it out and really show how this works. Now, right now we're in the counting of the Omer. We're not going to talk about the numbering of the days, because the traditional numbering of the days is a week, 6 days in front of the days that we usually count. But so you can count it however you want. But because we're in the counting of the Omer is a time when we're supposed to do introspection and change ourselves, right? That's what this is about. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, it says in Vayikra 14, I have a question mark there because I don't know how far we're going to go. The Lord also spoke, saying, when you enter the land of Canaan, which I'm giving you as a possession. Okay, now here's the problem with the front end of this teaching. There's 2 pages of words, and you got to pay attention to all of these, because then we're going to pick out parts of them and define them. But try to pay attention on the front end to the story and what's happening, if you can. The Lord also spoke, saying, when you enter the land of Canaan, which I'm giving you as a possession, and I, God, put a lesion or touch or hit. Now this is the word nega. And they translate a lesion. It's really not a lesion. Nega means to touch, but it also means to hit. It also means to grab a hold of. Not grab a hold of and take, that's a different word, but just like grab a hold of. And the word nega is probably best translated as lesion touch hit.
That's what?
Lesion touch hit.
Could it be a bruise?
No, not a bruise, that's a different word. It literally means just to touch something. So here's God, and he's coming to somebody or something, and he touches it, but he hits it. He puts a lesion on it. They translate lesion. It's really not a lesion. It's just a touch. So this is a very difficult word to translate. I say lesion touch hit. Probably the best way we could define it. Of Tzara'at. Tzara'at is translated as leprosy. It is not leprosy. It is a mystical, magical mark that is from heaven. And the people who were lepers, I know we think just the opposite, but the people who were lepers, they were the special set apart ones that God is dealing with alone. It's not like you've seen in the movies, I'm a leper, I'm hideous, stay away. It's not like that. It's a higher form of spirituality. So it's not, Hansen's disease is when their fingers fall off and their nose falls off. That is not leprosy. It even defines for us what leprosy looks like in the scriptures. A burn, a welt, a red mark, a white mark, discoloration on the skin, or a rough patch. But here, the tzara'at, the touch or hit or lesion of tzara'at, is on a house, not on a person. We call it mold. It's not mold. It's something different. It's a mystical, magical, spiritual touch from God. The owner of the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, like a lesion. And Rashi says, even somebody who is very, very wise and is a scholar is not allowed to say, I saw a lesion, I have leprosy. Why? Say it again?
Only the priest can diagnose.
Exactly. Because only the priest can look at it and say, that's what this is. That's exactly right. So, the owner of the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, like a lesion is visible to me in the house. And the priest shall tell them, empty out the house before the priest goes in to look at the lesion. Now, I would think it was so that the priest doesn't become unclean, right? Just the opposite. So that the house doesn't become unclean. Because he's clean, and he's coming in the house. And he's got this buzzing electricity of holiness. And if he comes in an unclean house, he's going to hit that, and it's going to become, everything's going to become unclean. Everything. Every person, everything in the house. So that's what it says. Everything in the house need not become unclean because he's coming in. Then the priest shall go in, look at the house. So he shall look at the hit, lesion, touch. And if the lesion on the walls of the house has greenish or reddish depressions, In other words, it's deeper than the skin of the plaster, or deeper than the skin of the rock. It's like inside. It has like greenish or reddish. Deeper than the surface, the priest shall come out of the house to the doorway and quarantine the house for 7 days. Then the priest shall return on the 7th day and inspect. If the lesion has spread in the walls of the house, the priest shall order them to pull out the stones with the spot on them, or with the lesion on them, or with the touch, or the hit on them, and throw them away at an unclean place outside the camp. And he shall scrape out the house all around. And they shall dump the plaster that they scrape off at an unclean place outside the city. Then they shall take other stones and replace those stones. And he shall take other plaster and replaster the house. If, however, the lesion breaks out again in the house after he's pulled out the stones and scraped the house, and after it has been replastered, then the priest shall come in, make an inspection, and if he sees that the lesion has indeed spread in the house, it is a malignant lesion in the house, a bad lesion. It is unclean, and shall therefore tear down the whole house. Its stones, its timbers, all the plaster of the house, and shall take all of it outside the city or the camp to an unclean place. What does that mean for the house owner?
They're without a house.
They are now homeless.
If you have insurance.
Well, think about it. For mold? Tear down the whole house, and now you got no house. How's he going to get another house?
Build a new one.
You have to build it?
God will provide. Why? Because God's the one who put the mark on the house in the first place, isn't he? So it's his problem. It's not the homeowner's problem. It's not the priest's problem. It's not anybody's problem. It's God's problem, because God is the one, remember it said in the beginning, if I come and put a mark, a touch on the house. Remember? So that means it's God's problem, and he has to take care of this person, this homeless person. Tear down the house, its stones, its timbers, and all the plaster, and take it outside the city and dump it in an unclean place. If, on the other hand, the priest comes in and makes an inspection and the lesion has not spread and it's been replastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean because the lesion hasn't reappeared, it hasn't spread, and he'll be fine. Now, yes?
The part at the top when you're reading it about taking out the bad stone or section and getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Replacing it with new, it reminds me of the body of Messiah. If there's people that aren't living up to the Torah, God takes them out and puts Gentiles in his will.
Okay, we can go home now. You just jumped to the end of the teaching. All right.
And I didn't even look at your notes.
That's right. Okay, now, so there's a whole lot of stuff here we have to define, right? So before we talk about that, let's talk about what Sara'at is, what it's a picture of. Now, we're during the counting of the Omer, and we're looking at ourselves, and we're trying to refine what are we trying to refine about ourselves? Our medot, our traits. What else? What would you say that again? Our neshama, our spirit. You're close. Nefesh, soul. We're trying to.
Prayer for the Omer, it says all three. It says the ruach and the neshama and the.
Hold on. We cannot possibly refine our neshama or our ruach, actually it's the other way, ruach or neshama, until we refine our soul. So it's like a level, it's like a multi-level marketing scheme. You have to deal with the soul first.
Well, yeah,
if you deal with the soul and you get one trait, we'll say, and you work on it, then you can work on the ruach. Then you can work on the neshama. But you have to do all this work in the soul first. All right. So what is Sara'at a picture of? Just very, very simple. Just like chametz. When we did Passover, chametz. What's chametz a picture of?
Pride.
Pride. Not sin, pride. The sin of pride. Yes? Because it puffs up. It's big. It's too big. Now, a person who has tzara'at is called a metzora. And the word is a contraction, squishing together two Hebrew words, motzi and ra. Motzi and ra. When I was very young as a believer, I'd only been a believer a year, I think, and there was a guy in the congregation, a friend of ours, he used to call me motzi, which means bring forth. Why? Because I'm an artist. And he said, you're always bringing forth stuff. So he called me motzi. Motzi. And ra, what does ra mean? Bad or evil. No, ayin ra is what you think. I is ayin.
That which does not function properly.
Say it again.
That which does not function properly.
That which does not function properly. Okay. Bad or evil, that which doesn't work. So, motzi, to make or to bring forth, and ra, evil, bad. So in other words, it loosely means one who spreads slander. Why? Because lashon hara, evil speech. One who brings forth. Well, who did lashon hara and immediately got leprosy? Miriam. So that's where that comes from. It also, there's a midrash from the Talmud suggests that tzara'at is a punishment for selfishness. You can find this in Arachin 16. What's the story in the Bible of people who were selfish and immediately they got leprosy? Anybody know?
In the New Testament?
No. No. This is, honey, this is in the Talmud.
The guy, I can't think of it.
You're thinking of Naaman?
Yes.
Yes. There's two stories. Naaman, he was the Elijah's helper, right? He was his servant, his helper. And he was very greedy, and he got leprosy.
Naaman was the one that he had to go to.
Naaman was the Syrian king, but what was the name of? Gehazi. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, Gehazi was his name. Now, there's another story of a bunch of lepers, a bunch of guys, and they came into, after a battle, there's 4 of them, right? And they came into a battle area, and they were lepers. All 4 of them were lepers. And they came into a battle area, and everybody had taken off from the battle, and they just left all this stuff. And these guys said, we ought to tell somebody that all this stuff is here. And then they went, nah, let's just take it. And so they just took it, and the leprosy clung to them for the rest of their life. So it could also be about selfishness. But what you're going to see is, when we look at the red and the green, it matches perfectly with these sins. So I'll show you. Remember, there's red or green marks that tells where the leprosy is, where the tzara'at is, I'm sorry. Okay, so here's the terms we got to define. The house. Make sense? God comes by, touches the house. The lesion, the tzara'at. Now, in Hebrew, the green and I'm going to take this off. The green and the red are 2 different words. Yerakakot, and adamdamot. That means greens or reds. Greenishes or reddishes. It's plural. Yerakrakot. Adamdamot. So we got to define both those colors. Then the stones. We have to, what are stones in the Bible? And then what is plaster in the Bible? And what is the unclean place in the Bible that's outside the city or the camp? Now, this is what we're going to translate. We're going to look at. Now, why do I have these pictures here? This is from Fiddler on the Roof, the Broadway production. And that is from, I don't have the slightest idea. It's some play with, looks like, I don't know what it is. It's I don't know what it is. I have no idea. But it looks like 1700s in France or something like that. I just don't know. But they're on stage. These take place on stage. Now, what if you're watching this happen and you don't know who anybody is? You're going to be sitting there going, what's happening? What am I watching? What are they doing? Why are they saying that stuff? Why is this guy talking with this guy, and there's a chick in the back, she's just standing there and she's got rays coming out of her head? What is this? But if you define the characters, you then know what you're looking at, yes? People read the story of Tzara and they're like, okay, let's just turn the page. This has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with us. And not only that, it has everything to do with the Bible, and it has everything to do with God's huge plan. Overall plan, overarching plan. But there's no way to see that unless you define your characters. So these 5 characters are what we're going to define. Number 1, the house. Exodus 40, for throughout their journeys, the cloud of the Lord was on the tabernacle by day, and there was fire in it by night, in the sight, not of all the people of Israel, of the house of Israel. So now we know what the house is. What's the house?
Israel.
What, the land? I mean, think about that. Just one verse. We already know what the house is. It's human beings. In the Bible, the house of God, or the house, is people. It's the Jews, which we'll see more of. 1 Samuel 7, then Samuel spoke to all the house of Israel. Why do you think God calls the Jews the house of Israel? Exactly, that's where he dwells. Ve'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Build for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell in them. Not in it, in them. Because God dwells in the Jewish people. We're his house. He lives in us. We're his house. That's it. But it says, speak to all the house of Israel, saying, if you are returning to the Lord, then get rid of the foreign gods from where? From the house. You're my house. Get rid of the foreign gods from the house. And the Ashtaroth from the house, from among you. And direct your hearts to the Lord and serve him alone. Isaiah 5. This is straight up. It just tells us straight up. The vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel. And the people of Judah are his delightful plant. The vine is the house of Israel. Jeremiah 18, am I not able, house of Israel, to deal with you as this potter does? Behold, like the clay in the potter's hand, so are you, Israel, house of Israel, in my hand. And he says it again, house of Israel. So, if it says house in the Bible, don't think house. What do you think? People. But not any people, only one people, Israel. Period. Now, I have to destroy a myth right now, and I hope you can follow me. I tried it with Eileen yesterday, and I had a hard time communicating it. She just wasn't getting it. So if you have a question, ask me to clarify. I'm going to try my best. There's a huge doctrine in the body of Messiah called the two-house theory. Have you heard of this? That Judah is the Jews, and Ephraim or Israel is who? The Gentile believers. And this is getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. They tried to stop it in the 90s. They couldn't stop it. And then it just got bigger. There was a lot of teachers who took it on and started spreading it. Now it's all over the world. This is a total anti-Semitic myth, and I'll tell you why. We know how you can absolutely prove it in just a heartbeat. It's this simple. Israel, northern Israel, and southern Judah, they were divided, yes? Northern Israel, who took them away? Assyria. 150 years before Babylon came and took southern Judah away. So, by the time God is prophesying to southern Judah, I'm going to take you away for all your sins. Where's northern Israel?
In Assyria.
They're gone. They're scattered. Northern Assyria's taken them away. Right. Assyria's take them to the north. They are gone. There is no house of Israel. There's a house of Judah, but there's no house of Israel. Yes? Guess which two prophets call southern Judah house of Israel more than any other prophets.
Jeremiah and Isaiah.
No, Isaiah was prophesying much earlier. Jeremiah and Ezekiel, who were eyewitnesses to Babylon coming and taking southern Judah. And 50-some times, Ezekiel calls southern Judah house of Israel. So it cannot be that northern Israel is the Gentiles, because southern Judah is called house of Israel.
Right.
Done. It's that simple. Now, does that make sense? Were you able to follow it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, Jeremiah says twice in this passage about the potter, he calls Judah, who he's prophesying to, southern Judah, calls him house of Israel. And God is saying this, house of Israel, and he's talking to Judah. Ezekiel 3, 4, and 5. Then he said to me, now again, there's 50 passages in Ezekiel that say house of Israel. This is just one of them. Then he said to me, Son of man, go to the house of Israel. I thought they were gone. See? And speak my words to them. For you are not being sent to a people of unintelligible speech or difficult language, but I'm sending you to the house of Israel that is supposedly gone up north in Assyria. And he sends them to Judah. All right? Total anti-Semitic foolishness. The Gentiles must come into the house of Israel to know God. It's that simple. It's always been like that. Nothing has changed. Okay? First, now we're going to go to the New Testament about the house. Now, if the Old Testament, the Tanakh, establishes us a baseline, a foundation of what the house is, wouldn't that carry over to the New Testament? It should. Right, it should is right. 1 Timothy 3, but in case I'm delayed, I write so that you will know how one should act in the house of God, which is the congregation of the living God. Therefore, who is the congregation of the living God? Israel. There it is. And Gentiles are invited in. It's that simple. The pillar that supports the truth. Don't even ask me what that means. I don't have clue one, because I've never looked at it. But I do know what the first part means. The house of God, which is the congregation of the living God. Hebrews 3, 3 and 6. For he, Yeshua, has been counted worthy of more glory than Moshe, in the same way that the builder of the house has more honor than the house itself. Therefore, Messiah was a son over his house, whose house we are. Who is the house? Who is the house? Just going by this simple corollary, 1 plus 1 equals 2. No, let's do it differently. X plus Y equals Z. Figure out who X is, figure out who Y is, and you'll know who Z is. For he, Yeshua, has been counted worthy of more glory than Moshe. Yeshua and Moshe. In the same way that the builder of the house, Yeshua, has more honor than the house itself, Moshe. But Messiah was a son over his house, whose house we are. Who is the house? Moshe. Comes right out and tells you. Moses is the house. Yeshua is the builder of the house. Moses is the house. Judaism is the house. The house of Israel is the house. The Torah is the house. All of the Jewish world is the house.
Would Moshe be the pillar that supports the Torah?
I told you don't ask me about it because I'm completely 100% ignorant. But thank you so much for showing my ignorance. Okay, 1 Peter chapter 2. Thank you for highlighting my ignorance. You also, as living stones. Okay, so you who?
Jews.
Israel. And believers, all believers that are Gentiles and Jews who are in that covenant, in that house. You also, as living stones, are being built up as a spiritual house for a holy priesthood to offer spiritual sacrifices. There's the print right there on the wall. This piece, where each person has a different job. Each person is a stone, and God sets the stones in place to create what? A temple. When it says a spiritual house, what does that mean? What's a spiritual house? It's not real. It's spiritual. It's made up of people, just like Israel. 1 Corinthians 6. Or do you not know that your body is a temple, is a house of the Holy Spirit inside of you, whom you have from God, and that you're not your own? So why do I have this one here? So, here's why I have this one. The house itself, if you look at it in a big, big, big way, an overarching way, it's Israel, yeah? Gentiles are invited into that. If you make it smaller, you could look at it as congregations. That each congregation is a house, a smaller house, yes? Made up of people. And each person is a house, yes? Because it says, don't you know that your body is a house? So we can look at it huge, we can look at it smaller, and we can look at it individual. So from now on, when we look at the story, when we look at the story of the Metzora in the house, we're going to have to look at it huge, overarching. We're going to have to look at it smaller, like congregationally, and we have to look at it individually. Does that make sense? Because they're all houses. They're all defined as a house. So, what is the house? The house is Israel and the believers, or Abraham's seed. Easy way to put it is Abraham's seed. Now, the lesion, or the hit, or the touch. It says it's greenish or reddish. See that color? See all the yellow in it? That's the color of greenish. It's more yellowy, and I have to get gross, but to define it. You know why? Because the Hebrew defines it in a gross way. Now the Hebrew says yarakrak. Yarakrak. That's the Hebrew word, yarakrak, for greenish. But it's plural, yarakrakot. But yarakrak is singular. So, what does that mean? Greenish or yellowish or pale, like the. You guys ever heard the about the color yellow ochre? You ever heard yellow ochre? Yeah. It's like a
paint color for artists.
Yeah, it's a paint color. Yellow ochre is kind of a brownish yellow. This is close to yellow ochre. That's too small. This is close to yellow ochre. And it's just, well, the color of my guitar. That's yellow ochre. That's yarakrak. But it has a little bit of green in it. And here's the thing. If you were to paint gold, it is the hardest thing to paint. I don't know if you've ever tried to represent gold in colors. It is so difficult to paint. I have to do it all the time. And I have to use green to show it. In the shadows, it goes green and brown. So, see these three colors up here? All three of these are yarakrak. They're all three of them. And there's probably 20 others that are close to this. Because it's greenish or yellowish or pale like ochre from gold. And it comes, did you want to say something?
It reminds me of phlegm.
Does it?
My immediate thought, too.
Okay, hold on. You guys are all jumping in front. All right, that's cool. No, I like it. And it comes from the word yerek, which means pallor. You know what pallor means? Sickly. You know when you get green?
Oh, yeah. Pale.
When somebody, pale, but like like greenish, that ugly greenish face. Like when you're going to throw up, yes. Pallor. Yellowish green. Green thing. Now, it never says grass as your rock in the Bible. But it'll say your rock and it'll define grass. And so people go, okay, your rock is grass. Okay. Does that make sense? Look what it means. From yarak, to spit. It doesn't mean the white, clear spit. It means phlegm. It means exactly what you said, phlegm. These colors are the colors of phlegm. Yeah. I hate to have to tell this story, but I kind of have to make the point. When I was a kid, my dad and we would go golfing early in the morning, and he used to smoke. And the whole first half hour of us being out there at 6 o'clock in the morning on the golf course, he'd be spitting. He'd be just spitting. Phlegm. And it would come out this color for a half an hour. And I'd say, are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm fine. And he'd just keep doing it. And then he was fine because he smoked. So, I told you that Hebrew is a very noun-driven, earthy language. And that's how we know. Very picturesque. Good one. Very picturesque, and that's how we know what things mean. All right, so I tried to, get as close as I could with this color. This is grass and herbs. So Psalm 68, the Lord gives the word. This is a strange passage. It's hard to figure out. The women who proclaim the Besorah, the gospel, are a great army. The women who proclaim the gospel are a great army. Kings of armies flee, they flee, and she who remains at home will divide the spoils. In other words, they're out saying, oh, we won, here's why we won because God did this or that, and they're proclaiming it. And all these Gentile kings are running, and they leave all their stuff, and we get all the stuff. And the we is women who stay at home. She who remains at home will divide the spoils. Now it switches. If you lie down among the flaying hooks or sheepfolds, and I don't know how to translate this, like wings of a dove covered with silver. Why would wings of a dove be covered with silver? That's stupid. If you covered wings of a dove with silver, it would melt the wings. It's a dumb, I don't know what this is about. God, you didn't get this one very good. Not very good descriptive poetry here. It makes no sense unless it's pure picture. This is pure picture. There's nothing physical about this. It just makes no sense. She, the woman who gets all this stuff, which is Israel, like wings of a dove covered with silver, and its pinions, its feathers, with yellow-green sharpness or decision-making. Very hard to translate this passage. Very hard to understand it. Very hard to translate. I spent about 15 minutes on this one verse, and I couldn't figure it out. Looked at commentary on it. Eileen looked at commentary on it. But here's what I got from it. This chick, she gets all the spoils. This is during the day of the Lord. She is the dove. She's the Yonah. We know this from a lot of passages that to God, Israel is a Yonah, a dove. And the wings, the things that cover her, are covered in silver and what looks like gold, but it's not gold. It's just her, what do we call it? Zeal. Her zeal, her eagerness. This is the word eagerness or sharpness or decision making. And her ability to run and do the mitzvot is what makes her so gorgeous to God. I'm convinced that that's what it means. That Israel's eagerness to do the mitzvot, to run to do the mitzvot, that God absolutely loves this. It turns him on. And in the day of the Lord, that's what's going to keep Israel safe. Their eagerness to do the mitzvot. Yes?
Makes me think of the scripture, Psalm 25:11. It says, like apples of gold in settings of silver
is a word fitly spoken.
So it's like the wings of a dove, and that it's like that's like a Jew, okay, that is covered with silver and its pinions with yellow sharp. It's like a sharp, exact word. So
exact, precise, eager, zealous. Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't take it any deeper than that right now because we're looking at it as a picture. But it does use the word yarakrak here. So, is this a good thing or a bad thing? What it's trying to do is describe gold. That's what it's doing. That yellow ochre of gold. That's all it's saying.
Well, also it says, the women are proclaiming the Besorah, the good news. And when you do that, you speak and your words go out like they're flying.
Oh yeah, like feathers, like birds.
Like birds in flight.
Very nice, very nice. Like when you give out the Besorah, it's like birds in flight.
Silver, which is valuable.
Yes, and beautiful.
Yeah.
Valuable and beautiful.
You can see that.
Okay, that's a tough one. Isaiah 37, therefore their inhabitants had little power. Uh-oh, this is bad. They were dismayed and confounded. Uh-oh, this is bad. They were as grass of the field. Is that good or bad?
Probably bad because it gets trampled on.
Okay, listen, if somebody says to you green, what do you think green is symbolic of?
verdant.
Life, verdant, that's what everybody says. Yeah, like leaves, grass, beautiful green things, photosynthesized, oh God, money. Green. Now, think life, the world. Okay, most people think that, life, verdant, yes? It's just the opposite. It's just the opposite. Their inhabitants had little power. They were dismayed and confounded. They were as grass of the field. This is not good. They're like grass, as green herbs and grass on the housetops. And I'll show you what happens to them. Same thing that happens here in Isaiah 40. Call out. He answered me, okay, what should I call out? Call this out. All flesh is grass. Not like grass. All flesh is grass. Its loveliness like the flower of the field. The grass withers, our flesh withers. The flower fades when the breath of the Lord blows on it. The people are indeed grass. What is grass a picture of? The flesh of people. It's not good. It's here today, gone tomorrow. So, green is a picture of grass, which is flesh, which is doomed, which is sick and spit out like phlegm. It's not good. It's not good. Now, the only time that this word yarakrak is good is when it's defining the image of gold. That's it. Other than that, it's not good. Now, reddish. You know what reddish is? A dum-dum. A dum. Who does that make you think of? Two people. Adam and Edom. Adam and Edom. One is good and one is bad. And then one became bad. So then they're both bad. You guys ever been to Georgia or Oklahoma? Both Georgia and Oklahoma have dirt that is so red. They call it the red clay of Georgia or the red clay of Oklahoma. This is a picture. This is from Georgia. Genesis 25. Oh, I'm sorry. So Adam Dam means reddish or rubbed red or dyed red or scarlet or the red mud or dirt. Adam as being made from dirt or mud. Could also mean flushed, rosy, or ruddy. Now this you can't see very well. Just if we turn the lights off you can see it better. But there's 3 different reds here, and some of them just look like brown, just like brownish red. One of them on the left looks like very much brownish red, at least on the computer. But it's still called Adam Dam. Genesis 25, now the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they named him Esav. What does Esav mean?
Harry.
Made. Oh, ready.
Ready.
No, that's Adam Dam. This is Esav. They named him Esav. Why Esav?
Because he was complete and made whole.
Yes, he was complete. It means made or complete. Made, already created, already made. Because he came out like an old man, like a man all full of hair. He was like a man, like a little midget man, little baby man, little tiny man. And he was also red, so he had both. Weird. Genesis 25:30. And Esau said to Jacob, please let me have a mouthful of that ha'adom, is what it says. Well, they translated red stuff, but it's not. It's the red. The red. Now, why do you think it says it twice? Why didn't he just say, give me some of that ha'adom, the red? Why did he say ha'adom? Because one's above and one's below. In other words, give me all the stuff of both heaven and earth. I want it all. And he was a selfish, greedy person. When we pray in the morning, Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu. Lord, keep me from arrogance and the arrogant. And then we say, keep us from an evil occurrence. And the very next thing is an evil eye. Ha'ain ra. Ain ra together equals 400. Yeah? And Esav, when he came to attack Jacob, who did he come with? 400 men. And so the rabbis all say that Edom's most horrible sin was his greed and his jealousy and greed. Give it to me, I want it, give it, gimme. And that was Edom. Give it to me now, right? So ha'adom is I want that and I want that. And yet he throws away his blessing for this, for the food, for the physical. Threw away everything spiritual for food. I said when we were talking about the kosher laws, either last week or the week before, that a guy, I think it was last week, a guy at work walked by me. And, he's from the South by a guy, and he says, I had said something about, we don't eat that, we can't eat that. Jews, we don't eat that because it's unclean to me.
Gumbo, right?
I can't remember what it was. And he walked by me and he goes, that's why I can't convert to Judaism. And the first thing that came to mind was, yeah, your belly is your God. Your belly is your God, which is what it says in the New Testament. Your belly is your God, Edom. Because I'm exhausted, therefore he was called Edom. So they named him Edom, which is red. But it's more than red. It's Adam from the ground, from the dirt. You just want it all. You want to own the world. Okay, so that's what Edom is, basically. 1 Samuel 16. So he sent and brought David in. Now this is a strange verse. David was a dum-dum. He was a dum-dum, admoni, with beautiful eyes and a handsome face. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is the guy. This is the guy. And it describes him as admoni, reddish. So here, is it good or bad? This is good. This is just like the greenish yarakrak, which is a picture of gold. Well, here, his tan, his beautiful complexion is defined as admoni, Adam. But it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, the way he looks. With beautiful eyes and a handsome face. And the Lord said, anoint him, this is the guy. Lamentations 4, this is really strange, it's amazing. This is written by Jeremiah when Babylon came and destroyed Judah. And it says, her Nazarites, what's a Nazarite?
Someone takes a Nazarite vow.
Somebody who takes a vow to be even more clean and pure and holy than a regular Jew. Was purer than snow. Name for me some people who are on a Nazarite vow. Samson. Who else? John. Who else?
One of David's sons, right?
Say it again.
One of David's sons who had the long hair?
No, he was not on a Nazarite vow. You're talking about Avshalom. He was not on a Nazarite vow. That was his pride. He did that because he thought he was hot. Who else was on a Nazarite vow in the Bible? He wrote most of the New Testament. Paul. Paul was on the Nazarite vow, yeah. And when he came to Jerusalem, Jacob and the other elders said, okay, you're ending your vow now as Shavuot. We got 4 other guys who are ending their Nazarite vow too. So why don't you pay all their expenses and yours to do all the sacrifices and shave your body of hair and start over. And so he did. So Paul was on a Nazarite vow. Her Nazarites were purer than snow, whiter than milk. They were white, but they were red.
Right.
Which hey, make up your mind, God. Were they whiter than milk or were they redder than rubies?
Yes.
Yes. Ruddy in body than rubies or pearls. Now this is your name, Penina. Penina, we don't know how to translate it. It actually means to contract or to contract like that. So some translate it as pearl, some translate it as ruby, some translate it as coral. I don't know how to translate it. I only know by the context. So for here, it's red, so it's probably a ruby or a coral. You ever seen corals that once they polish them and they make them round? So more ruddy or more adum-dum in their body than rubies or pearls or corals. They're polishing of sapphires. So is red good or bad? Is it good or bad?
It's good there.
It means man, Adam, flesh. That's what Edom wanted. That's what Adam wanted too. Earth. That's how we say earth. Adam. Adama. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei pori ha'adama, who brings forth the fruit from the earth when we eat vegetables. It's earth. But it could also mean beauty. It could also mean beauty. So 1 good and 1, 2, 3, 4 not so good. 3 not so good and 1 good.
Well, you're talking about Edom being selfish there and how he wants it. It makes sense why Christianity came up with replacement theology. It's like, no, we want to be the chosen people.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
The book I just finished, 2 nations are in your womb, that's exactly what it's about. It's that Edom, or Christianity, what they call Christianity, wants both. I want all that, and I want all this. And so they get the Jacob out of the way to get it. I want it. I want to be the chosen people. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, now the stones of the house itself. The stones. What are the stones? We already saw one. What's the stones?
People.
People. Yeah? Exodus 28, the stones will be engraved according to the names of the sons of Israel, 12 of them, each his name for the 12 tribes. Well, they're 12 tribes, but they're named after a human, a person, and the name is written on the stone. So there's 12 human beings. The 12 tribes are 12 human beings. Joshua 4, 3 and 7. Take up for yourself 12 stones from out of the middle of the Jordan and carry them over and lay them in the camp. These stones shall be a memorial to or of the sons of Israel. Why 12 stones?
For each of the tribes?
Right, because tribes or people? Both. Because remember, each tribe is represented by a human being. The same thing with the 12 stones from the river. Each stone represented a dude, which was a tribe. And I told you, when we look at the house and we look at the tzaraat on the house, we have to look at it globally, in the big picture, the body of Messiah, the house of God. We also have to look at it smaller as each tribe or each congregation. Each house. And then we have to look at it as each person, even smaller. All right, so take these stones. These stones shall be a memorial for or to the sons of Israel forever. Matthew 3. Now this is a cool verse. Do not assume that some of the Jews were just ripping on Yeshua and telling, they were singing, Hoshiana, Hoshiana, we thank God that the Messiah has come. And they tell him, Rabbi, tell your disciples to shut up. God, what chutzpah. Tell your Talmidim, your disciples, to shut their mouths. Who are you to tell me, to tell my Talmidim to shut up? You shut up. What a horrible thing for them to say. So Yeshua says to them, don't assume that you can say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father. I tell you that God is able from these stones. What stones? The people. To raise up children for Abraham. He can raise up a child of Abraham from any stone. And the same thing here in Luke, until the Pharisees are yelling at him, shut your disciples up, rebuke your disciples. Yeshua said, you know what, if these stop speaking, the stones will cry out. What stones will cry out? The people. So the stones are obviously Israel and the believers, Avi's seed, Abraham's seed. This is a different living stones picture. Same concept, but these guys are doing different things. There's a guy playing the toph. Here's a guy playing an oud. An oud. This is called an oud. Guy playing a harp. This woman is feeding. This guy's got some kind of disease. He's all shriveled up, and she's feeding him. This guy's helping feed. This woman just gave birth to a baby. So this is a new person.
Large baby.
Not a large baby.
Compared to her, yeah.
He's closer than she is.
Okay.
It's a camera angle.
Proportion.
This guy is blessing the new giant baby that just came along. Okay, Luke 19. So he says, the stones will cry out. Now, picture the priest going into the house and looking at the stones. And the stones have a red or a greenish mark. Aren't the stones telling him something? Yes or no?
Unclean and clean.
They're telling him the state of the person, the state of the house. The stones will cry out. They will tell, they will speak. They'll tell the story. So that's basically what it's saying, that the stones will tell, they'll talk, they'll tell the story. The plaster. You ever think about this? What is plaster a picture of? Because he says, replaster it, pull the stone out, stick another replacement stone in, replaster it. So we got to define plaster. You can't just think of it as plaster. Why? Because it's in the Bible. If it's in the Bible, it's got to mean something. Now, it uses two words. It uses the word afar, which it just means dust. You ever seen plaster? It's dust. You add water to it, it turns into something. It turns into goo, into mud, right? But before that, it's just dust. And then the word tuach, which means to smear. Tuach, to overlay, to overspread, or to coat, just like you know of plaster. This is the word tuach. Now, look at this. I don't want to say it excites me, but it explains a lot of things to me. Isaiah 44. They do not know. Who is Isaiah prophesying to? Northern Israel or southern Judah? Southern Judah early on. Early on. About 100 years before the Babylonians came. It's early on. They do not know, nor do they understand. Why? Because God has smeared over their eyes. Who smeared over their eyes? God did. Not them. God did. Just like Pharaoh. Pharaoh chose his way, and so God hardened his heart to make it even more so. So they cannot see, and their hearts, so they cannot understand. Ezekiel 13. Who did Ezekiel prophesy to? Northern Israel or southern Judah? Southern Judah, but late, right before the Babylonians came. And he watched it happen. Prophets, now this is talking about the prophets of Israel, have misled my people, saying shalom when there is no shalom. And when anyone builds a wall, behold, they plaster it over with whitewash. It will fall. When the wall has fallen, will you not be asked, where's the plaster that you plastered it with? What, you think the plaster is going to hold it from falling down? God knocks the thing down, everybody's going to go, but what about the plaster that we put on it? This is crazy. Where's the plaster with which you plastered it? I will tear down the wall that you plastered over with whitewash and hurl it down to the ground so that its foundation is exposed. I will expend my wrath on the wall and on those who've plastered it over with whitewash. And I will say to you, the wall is gone, and those who plastered it are gone. So what do you think plaster is? Don't look at the bottom. What do you think plaster is? I know how you are. What do you think plaster is?
Fakeness.
Say it again? Fakeness, like hypocrisy? Lies. Okay, what about in the spiritual world? Take lies and put it into in the spiritual world. False prophecy, false doctrine. False doctrine. False doctrine. That's what it is. It is false doctrine.
Could it also?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, could it also be the curse of the law?
Yes, absolutely. Because that's what the prophets were saying. You just keep doing. Just do. Why are we doing it? Don't worry about that. Just do. God is giving us peace. God is giving us peace. We have peace because we're doing. Yeah, absolutely. It's the curse of the law, which is a false doctrine. Matthew 23. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Please remember, Yeshua was a Pharisee. Yeshua was a Pharisee. Pharisee is not a bad guy. Pharisee is not a black hat. Pharisee it means pious. One who's kind. But they were idiots. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, my brother Pharisees, you hypocrites, for you are whitewashed tombs. What is he quoting? He's quoting this passage in Ezekiel, which on the outside appear beautiful, but inside are full of dead men's bones and all tameh, uncleanness. He's quoting Ezekiel. All right, so what is plaster? Deceptive doctrine, lies, and hypocrisy. I don't care who it is, Jew, Gentile, it doesn't matter. Doctrine, all it is a coating. It's the guts that matter. The coating, it could look great. I mean, it should look good. You know, we spent a lot of money beautifying the mitzvot. That's why that mezuzah, I love that mezuzah that we have on the door. I got that from my mom. And I love that mezuzah, just the way it looks. We spent a lot of money beautifying the mitzvot. It says in the Talmud, make yourself a beautiful sukkah. Make yourself a beautiful shofar. Make yourself a beautiful mezuzah. To beautify the mitzvot, spend your time and your energy and your money on it. Put the beautiful plaster on it. It should be beautiful. But it better be right. It better be good on the inside. Were you going to say something?
Interesting how God covered over their eyes with plaster and blinded them, and Yeshua had a blind guy and made mud, put it over his eyes to bring his sight back.
To bring his sight. Oh, very good. Yeah, so God smeared over the prophets with mud so they couldn't see. But Yeshua got a blind Jew in Israel, a son of Israel, and spit on the ground. I wonder if there was any phlegm in it. Spit, and I'm serious. I'm serious. Because was it that picture?
Yeah.
Spit on the ground, made mud on Shabbat, and then smeared that over his eyes, and he could see. All right, the unclean place. When you take all the garbage, the plaster, the old ugly plaster and the old ugly rocks and all that, you go take it to an unclean place. I only have one verse, but it's a long one. What it says in Hebrew is, El Makom Tameh. To Makom Tameh. Now we know Makom is what?
Jerusalem.
It's Jerusalem. It's heaven. Makom is heaven. But this is Tameh, unclean. Take it to unclean heaven.
Would that be Gehenna?
No, Gehenna is not unclean heaven. Gehenna is the opposite of heaven. But this is heaven unclean. So where is it? What does it say in the Bible about heaven? The absence of sin, but it's completely unclean. Can't think of it? Say it again? No. The taking away of sin.
When the sacrifices are done?
Close. The taking away of sin, and it's completely unclean.
Where the goat goes?
Now you're getting closer.
Yeah.
Now you're getting, that's what he's saying. Now you're getting closer.
Out of the wilderness?
How about Yeshua dying?
Yeah.
Didn't he become sin? Wasn't he completely and totally unclean?
Yeah.
And that's our heaven. That we have our sins taken away through Yeshua because he became completely and totally unclean. Yeah? Okay. That's what it says here in Hebrews. We have an altar from which those who serve the tabernacle, they're not allowed to eat from it. For the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the holy place by the high priest as an offering for sin, the bodies are burned outside the camp. Why are they burned outside the camp? This is why Yeshua suffered outside the gate, outside the city, outside the camp. So he can sanctify the people through his own blood. Why outside the camp? Here's why. Well, not just because it's unclean, because it's a reproach. It's disgusting. So then, let us go out to him outside the camp. Whoa. What is that? Whoa. Get back there. Go to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. What does that mean? Shame. Disgust.
These things will be disgusting to you.
Yeah, these things will be disgusting to you. For here we do not have a lasting city. Nobody is going to accept us here. Nobody. Here we get reproach and shame and spit on and treated like garbage because we love this invisible God and we love Judaism. oh, we're not going to have any love here. Nobody going to love us here.
Don't expect it.
It's not, don't expect it. Well, either did Yeshua expect it. He went outside the camp where the unclean are. For here we don't have a lasting city, but we're seeking the city which is to come. So that's why it's unclean heaven. Makom tameh. Heaven unclean. Does that make sense? Yes or no? It's kind of hard a concept. So what's the unclean place? Where those who are not a part of the covenant go. The ultimate unclean place is Gehenna. The ultimate unclean place is Gehenna. I mean, this is what everybody's afraid of. Oh, God's going to throw me into hell because of my sins. They say this to me at work all the time. When I bring up anything Jewish, I can talk about, I don't eat pork. Well, I'm going to hell. Why are you talking to me about hell? I'm talking about pork. But they say this to me all the time, don't they? Don't they? They bring it up all the time. Well, I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell, right, Washer? And they talk about it. Enjoy the ride. I said, well, I'm not going to see you. So everybody's afraid of this. Everybody's afraid that because of our sins, God's going to throw us into hell. That's the ultimate unclean. But Yeshua took that. He became that. So that's why he was outside the camp, outside the gate. That's where all the junk is thrown. All right, now we're going back to the story. We're going to define it. I've written it out in picture form, now that we've defined all the characters. Okay? So I hope you can follow this. Because now we're going to put all the characters together. And I've given you some fun pictures to follow with. When I put a lesion, a touch, a hit of miracle mark, remember, it's not Hansen's disease where the nose falls off. That's not leprosy. When I put a touch or a hit of a miracle mark on a son of Abraham, the owner of the house shall come and tell the priest. Now, I have to throw something in here so you don't get lost. The priest comes in the house to check everything, right? Well, if we think big, okay, fine. Yeshua comes in, he's the high priest, he checks everything, yep. What about if it's smaller? What about if it's a congregation? Who's the priest?
The rabbi.
It's Yeshua and the rabbi, yeah?
Yes.
Or it could actually be anybody. It could be anybody that God shows it to. Think smaller. What if it's a person? Who's the priest?
Your spirit.
Yeshua has nothing to do with it. We are. We are a kingdom of priests. We have to clean our midot. Yes? I mean, God's not going to come down, magically go, ooh, you need to fix this about you. We have to do it. Does that make sense? So, on the lowest level, when it says the priest, we have to think about us doing this. Tell the priest, saying, like selfishness, or lashon hara, or pride is visible to me in my body, in my soul. If the soul and the body has fleshiness or Edom-likeness, I don't know how to say this in English, or is like Edom.
Right.
What was Edom's big sin? Selfishness. If it has fleshiness, and by the way, that's what it says in the Bible about Edom, and don't, in Hebrews, and don't be like Edom, who was godless and fleshy. So the soul, my soul and my body has fleshiness or Edom-likeness, deeper than the surface. Uh-oh. Deeper than the surface. The priest will quarantine the son of Abraham for 7 days. So if we're quarantined for 7 days, when does he come back to check? On Shabbat, make it bigger. Big Shabbat. The day of the Lord. The day of the Lord. Okay. Return on the seventh day. He does return on the seventh day, on the day of the Lord, to inspect his body. his house. This is what Yeshua is coming to do. He is coming to inspect his house to see if it's got this mark of Edom or flesh in it, or if it's a clean house like Israel is supposed to be. If the fleshiness or Edom-likeness has indeed spread in the soul and body, the priest shall say to them to pull out the person from the family, or the congregation, or the whole community, the whole body. Just yank them out with the spot on them and throw them away at an unclean place. Does this sound good or bad? Horrible. This is horrible. As if they are not in the covenant.
Bad as it gets.
It's as bad as it gets. Why? Because no sin can be in the camp. Are you with me so far?
Yep.
All right, here's a guy dumping the garbage, the rocks and the plaster and all that junk. And here's just a whole pile of it outside the city. There's a guy yanking the stone right out.
Putting it in.
Don't get ahead of the story. Then they shall scrape out this, oh my God. They shall scrape out the son of Abraham, or scrape out the congregation, or scrape out the community, the whole body, all around. That means every part of it, every wall, scrape it all out. And they shall dump the doctrine. What was doctrine? Plaster, right. They shall dump the doctrine or the hypocrisy that they scrape off and throw them away at an unclean place, as if they're not in the covenant, because no sin can be in the camp. Then they shall take other stones, because God can raise up stones from anywhere, and he'll replace those stones. And he shall take other doctrine. Oh God, bring it. Take other doctrine. That means reteach. Just reteach everything to the son of Abraham, or the congregation, or the whole community, or the whole body of Messiah. Get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I really believe with all my heart that this is what God is going to do. I think he's already started. He is going to gut doctrine from the body of Messiah. He's going to gut the doctrines of Edom, who is godless, who is Rome. He's going to scrape all that off the walls. And I think, which is why this place is so small and why I have so few viewers, this is what I do every week. I'm scraping the walls. I'm scraping the walls of the body of Messiah. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Every week I'm doing this, and hopefully it's starting to scrape it off of us individually, because it is on there hard. This is probably the hardest part of the whole project, is scraping those walls off. Look at that house. That's had all the plaster scraped off the stones. It's a huge, hard process.
It's a good picture too.
It is. I really like that picture. I like both of these. But we're in counting of the Omer. So we're supposed to be doing this to us as a priest, as the owner of the house and as the priest. So we're both the owner of the house and the priest that checks it. Make sense?
Michael,
Yes.
it made me think of when we first moved into our house on Vaudeville, and you were crazy with that muriatic acid, pulling up that orange of the...
We moved into our first house, and they'd turned the garage into an indoor room, and it had this ugly orange and yellow red carpet, like real thin carpet. But they used 57 tubs of mastic to put that thing down. And I got muriatic acid without a mask on, which was really dumb. It's scraping day after day after day to get that thing off the floor. It was really tough. And that's kind of how this job is. All right, the story's not over. Then they shall take other sons of Abraham, other stones, and replace, that's what you said, so now he's putting one back in, and replace the previous sons of Abraham. Now, Christians read this, and I know what they're thinking. Yes, he replaced the Jews with the church. It's such arrogance. It's a son of Abraham replacing a son of Abraham. Gentiles can come in too, but it's a son of Abraham, a Jew, replacing a Jew. And if Gentiles want to come into that, come on, baby.
He's not replacing the whole house, he's only replacing a stone.
And replace the previous sons of Abraham, and he shall take other doctrine and recoat the person, the congregation, or the community. If he, ourselves as the priest, if we see that the pride, the lashon hara, the fleshiness or the Edom-likeness has indeed spread. Now this is bad. He did all that work. He even replaced the stones, and he got all the plaster off, and he did all that work. And now Edom spreads even more. So what do you think he's going to do?
Tear it down.
Knock the whole house down.
Didn't get it all.
That's right. He didn't get it all. Has indeed spread in the son of Abraham, the congregation or the community. It is a selfishness, a lashon hara, or pride, or fleshiness of Edom in the son of Abraham, the congregation or community. It is unclean. Christianity based on Hellenism is unclean. I don't want God to knock the house down. I have no desire for God to knock the house of believers down. But that's what I see happening. If something doesn't change, if people don't stop relying on Rome, on Hellenism, on the ways and doctrines of Christianity to get to know God, God is going to knock the whole house down. I'm not going to, God is. It is unclean, and they shall therefore tear down the house. My God, I don't want this to happen. Or destroy the person, the congregation, or the community, along with its stones, its timbers, the whole construction of it, all the building, all the ministries, quote ministries, all the everything, the money they spend doing their stuff. It's all going to come down. And all the plaster of the house, and he shall take all of it outside the city or camp to an unclean place. I don't want to see this happen, but this is going to happen unless something radical changes. Unless there is a radical flip, it's going to happen.
Well, in the day of the Lord, he is going to do that, but he's going to allow people to come out of it first.
I haven't gotten there yet. So I want you to understand exactly what I'm saying about this. It says in Acts chapter 3, it calls the day of the Lord the restoration of all things, right? Of all things.
Right.
Which means all of God's ways are going to be returned to us, to the earth. That means the whole world is going to do Sukkot and Pesach and Shavuot and Shabbat. The whole world. How are we going to get from the state we're in right now to that? It's not right. It's not going to be like God comes in, oh, Jesus comes in the clouds being 900 feet tall and he flips the switch and everything changes. It ain't going to happen.
A lot of plaster scraping.
There's a lot of plaster scraping. Exactly right.
Well, that's like the gentleness, but if it doesn't happen, then it has to all
Yes.
come down.
Now, in the day of the Lord, it is going to be completely brought to the
So
ground.
like right now is the scraping.
Right now is the scraping. right now is the pulling stones out. That's hard. It's really, really tough. To pull a stone out from a wall. Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
It's really tough without ruining all the other stones around it.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
have
be real
another
careful.
picture that kind of relates. It's not the same, but it relates, the administration, the president and his people, they're going and they're scraping.
Yes, and Doge,
And it's
yes,
upsetting.
hold on.
Yeah.
That's what Doge is doing with our country,
Right.
is to scrape the walls and to try to replace the doctrine and the belief and to get rid of DEI. Okay, that's a tiny, tiny little picture of this. Tiny picture. This is global. This is worldwide. This is in the hearts of human beings. Trump ain't in the heart.
Right.
DEI isn't in the heart of people. It's just in their brains. But this is going to be uprooted from the actual hearts of people. This, the guy it's called chinking. He's putting the plaster in between the stones, if that's the look you want. Or you could cover up the whole thing. Put plaster on the whole thing. These guys are just repairing the stones. So there's a lot of different processes that go on here. My question is, how much do we want to go? How far into this thing do we want to go? I've been doing this for 30 some years, about 35 years focused. And for the last 10 years, easy, people have told me, Michael, back off. Michael, you need to watch the way you say. Michael, don't say that. Michael, you can't say that. Michael, you need to back off. Michael, you need to relax. Michael, you need to this, you need to that. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. I never thought that this congregation would be big. I never thought I'd have a big following on the internet because of what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. I'm saying, burn down the house. There was a song I used to love by
Talking Heads.
No. This is a different one. This was before Talking Heads. This was by Elton John. It was called "Burn Down the Mission." Did you ever hear that song? Burn down the mission. Every time I hear that song, I get excited, and I never really knew why until recently. It's all gonna burn, baby. It's all gonna burn. We used to say that.
That was when we first got married, we wrote, it's all gonna burn.
It's all gonna burn.
All gonna burn.
Yes.
Don't hold on too tightly to your possession. It's all gonna
Yes.
burn.
Okay, I got a smart TV when I moved, and I have a YouTube channel. And I use it to access Jewish praise and worship.
Yeah.
But then other stuff gets, when you get into there, other stuff, religious stuff.
Yeah, they give you other suggestions.
Other things.
Suggestions.
Yeah.
But one thing that's so interesting, and more are the people inside the body of Messiah are calling out other people about things. I mean, there's even people talking about.
When you say calling out, do you mean like they're?
For wrong doctrine?
You mean rebuking them?
Yeah, or exposing.
Exposing it.
Telling about.
Okay, hold on a second. Can we stop using the phrase calling out?
Okay.
To call out is a very, very beautiful phrase in Hebrew. It means to call out with the Besorah. Calling out, say rebuke, say correct. Say, what was the other word you said?
Correct.
No, exposing. Say expose or correct or rebuke.
So they're giving information about it, and so, I'll watch every now and then. And they're rebuking, they're exposing different people, are exposing pretty much some of the same churches, the prosperity and all those other things filled with doctrine. And it's like they're scraping off the plaster, but there's going to come a time where their plaster's
Going to get scraped too. Right. And that's what I'm worried about.
Pricing and all these.
Listen, this is what I'm worried about. I'll give you a tiny, tiny little example. I don't know how far to go a lot of times. I don't know how far to push it a lot of times. Here's a tiny example. You gave me that book to read, that somebody sent you a case of books to give out. This is by a Jew, a Messianic Jew. It reads like you're reading a Christian book. This is a Jew, and he's totally unafraid or not embarrassed to say Christ. And I'm like, have you lost your mind? We've got 1 million people saying that. You're a Jew, say Messiah. You're a Jew, say you need to see Yeshua in Judaism. You're a Jew, you need to say the whole world needs to turn toward Judaism. He says just the opposite. Why? Because that's what he's been taught. That's got to get scraped off. It's got to change. And the Jews are the ones who have to change it. The Messianic Jews have to change it. Christians don't have to change a thing. We have to help with that, because what do they know? I think in 2,000 years is hearing the same thing. For 2,000 years, what did Christians know? But Messianic Jews should know better. And it's our job, like it was in the first century, to be the authorities to say, this is what we're going to do for the Gentiles. Gentiles can't do that. So when I look at this at home. This is my home. This sits at home with us. This is not out somewhere else. This is here. Which means God's going to start it with us. God's going to start scraping with us. That means scraping us. I mean, if we're going to give pure doctrine and get good plaster on there instead of Edomite or flesh plaster, we have to be right. We have to be clear.
Yeah, we got to be cleaned up first.
We have to be cleaned up first. Yes.
As painful as, I think about October 7th, as painful as October 7th was and the heartbreak of it, there are now so many stories coming out from the hostages of basically how they prayed again. They turned back to God.
Turning back to God.
And not that they were all, turned away from God, but their relationship has gotten better. They're closer to God, and they're more in tune with Judaism.
They're more sensitized to it.
Assimilation.
Right.
Some have fallen into.
Listen, there's no doubt in my mind that Jewish people are turning. It's like a giant ship, like I always say, very, very slow. And Jewish people are turning to God in horrible, horrible circumstances. And it's taking those circumstances to turn us as Jews back to God. And it's going to get worse. It has to get worse because the scraping has to really kick into high gear.
Well, when you don't turn to God from the little things, He turns up the heat.
Yes, He turns up the heat. So this has to start with us. Now, this was said in the first century, right before everything was lost to Israel. Everything was lost. The temple was destroyed. The Jews were murdered. Over 1 million Jews were murdered in the first century. And all the leadership of the Messianic Jews were killed. And don't believe the mythology you hear that like Philip or whoever went to Ethiopia and was crucified upside down or whatever. It's all mythology. These were Jews. And they went to Jewish communities and they talked to Jews. And they also talked to Gentiles after that. But they were all murdered. All the Messianic leaders were murdered. So right before we read that, here's another picture of living stones. This is my third one.
I like that one.
Yeah, because it's color. You can see it better.
Yeah.
I love the sky.
The baby is not.
The baby's not so big, Your Highness. Baby's more normal size. Yeah, there you go.
We're into a giant.
No sons of Anak for you.
Exactly.
All right, so same concept that everybody's got their own job to do. Everybody's a stone. If you can figure out their job, you can actually figure out, how to relate to them. Make sure that none of you make sure that none of you, this was written in the 1st century, make sure that none of you suffers as a murderer. Why would he say that to believers? Make sure that none of you suffers as a murderer. Okay, guys? Don't suffer as a murderer. Don't murder. That's kind of crazy. Or a thief. Yeah, you might steal. I might suffer as a thief. I love stealing still. Or an evildoer. Or a doer of Lashon Hara.
That's really
Uh-oh, yeah. But if one suffers as a Mashiachim, this is a huge problem, this word.
A little anointing.
They translate this as Christian. Here's how it works in Hebrew. Pelishtim means people of Pelishta, or Philistine. Ammonim, what do you think that is? People of Ammon, Ammonite. Say it again. Canaanim, people of Canaan or Canaanite. So how would you translate Mashiachim?
Messiah.
No, they say Ite, Amalekite, Philistine, Canaanite. How would you translate Mashiachim? Messiah. So think about this. What if in the 1st century they all started saying as a Messiah-an instead of Christian, Messiah-ian? Because that's what Christ means. It means Messiah.
Right.
So why didn't they say Messiah-ian? They did. It's in Hebrew, Mashiachim.
Right.
It means Messiah-ian, person of Messiah. No such thing as Christian. It doesn't exist. So if you suffer as a Messiah person, don't be ashamed, but it's to glorify God in this name. For it is time, and now look what he says, because it's time to suffer. He says, don't suffer as a murderer or doing Lashon Hara, all that. Suffer like this, because it's time for judgment to begin with the house of God. What's the house of God?
Israel.
House of Israel. It's time for judgment to begin with the house of God. Why? Because we are now spreading the word of the Messiah and Judaism. We have to suffer. We have to look at ourselves and scrape that garbage off of ourselves. And if it begins with us first, what do you think is going to be the outcome for those who don't listen to the gospel of God? If it's with difficulty that the righteous is saved. Really? All you have to do is go to a church and go, I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as my Savior. Amen. Really? Where's the difficulty? Where is the difficulty? If it's with difficulty that the righteous is saved, it is hard. It's really, really hard to be righteous. To do the right thing and learn the right thing and know the right thing and know Judaism and be able to apply it. It's tough. But, you know, in the churches it's not. So something's wrong. What will become of the godless man and the sinner? If it's hard like this for you, what do you think it's going to be like for them? I'm going to hell. Yeah, you are. See ya. That's none of my business. You want to go to hell? Go to hell. You want to learn Judaism? Come here. I'll talk to you. You want to know God? I can help you. But I'm not going to play your games. So, all this, from talking about seeing leprosy in a house. I see some mold in my house. Let me go to the Bible and find out how to fix it. It's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? This is what this is really about. So here's my challenge to you. If you listen to this message and all you get out of it is, man, he's mad at the church. Because I get that from people. That means, number one, you didn't listen.
Yeah, you weren't listening.
You weren't listening. Number two, you didn't do the work that it takes to be able to read the Torah. It takes work. It takes thought. It takes defining all your terms. And number three, you have something in you that you don't want scraped off.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna scrape it off. But if you listen to the teaching, it might scrape it off, might start scraping it off. It might. So I want to pray right now that God does this to his body. This to his body. That's what I want to pray. I'm not going to do it. He has to do it. But you better be ready for the result.
Well, and we need to do it.
Well, I think, we've talked about this. I think we're at least a little bit doing it. But of course we need to do it. We absolutely need to do it.
It's a joint venture.
Yes, it's a joint venture. Yeah, I like that. All right, so let's pray. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Lord, I want your house. I want your body. I want your family to be like Yaakov, like Jacob, and not like Edom. I am so tired of Edom, Lord. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick and tired of the red everywhere. I'm so tired of Rome. I'm so tired of deception. I'm so tired of everybody twisting your amazing, precious Torah and throwing it in the dump to try to replace it with the God-man and Mary and Christian doctrine, which comes straight out of Rome. I ask, Lord, that you would do the work of scraping your house, that you would come in as a priest, and that you and the homeowner, which is you, would start scraping your house. And I ask that you would show us how to, just personally, how to scrape the plaster of this fleshiness and the Edom-likeness off of ourselves, off of our midot during this counting of the Omer. I thank you for creating this time period of the counting of the Omer. When we can look at our midot and do work on ourselves, I ask that you teach us how to do that. I ask that, Lord, you would teach tens of thousands of people how to do that in your body, not just in Israel, but among the Gentile part of your body as well. I ask, Lord, that you would send this truth of Judaism to Jewish Messianic Jews all over the world so that we can do our job in your body. And I ask that people in your body would begin to invite change because they see just a total emptiness, a total godlessness of Edom. In the name of Yeshua, Father, bring your Ruach HaKodesh. Bring your Ruach HaKodesh to your house and fill your house. In the name of Yeshua. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.